Erik ten Hag is angry with the Manchester United board and feels like he's been hung out to dry. Joel Glazer makes another outrageous decision that he should not be making at Manchester United. Gary Neville comes out and calls out the Glazers, rightly so, and the squad for the Bayern Munich game has been released, revealing that Harry Maguire is injured. Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, and fat Manchester United are one injury away from Johnny Evans playing week in, week out, and two injuries away from Bruno Fernandes playing in the defence. However, on the positive note, although Mason Mount and Varane aren't in the travelling squad to Bayern Munich, they did return to Manchester United training today and they're expected to be fit for the game at the weekend. Kobbie Mainoo and Amrabat are back in training, but not quite in team training yet, but expected to be 1 or 2 weeks away from match fitness. So hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to the Manchester United News Roundup video, where we're going to be discussing all the latest news. First thing I want to talk about is this report that's come out from Laurie Whitwell and why it's a complete and utter disgrace. It was said Erik ten Hag wanted Manchester United to test the waters with Harry Kane in the summer when he made it clear he would not sign a deal at Spurs. However, John Murtough believed that Daniel Levy wouldn't negotiate with other Premier League teams and moved away. Laurie Whitwell is basically coming out and saying, yeah, basically the board didn't even try. Ten Hag wanted Harry Kane, just like Ten Hag wanted Kim Min-jae, and it's been revealed that board didn't even try. They gave up. They said, look, Daniel Levy's not going to do this. Daniel Levy's not going to do that. But they didn't even try. Ten Hag wanted Kim Min-jae. Ten Hag did the groundwork to get Kim Min-jae. Man United had a verbal agreement with Kim Min-jae, just like we have with Amrabat. Ten Hag did the groundwork to get Amrabat to agree to join United. Ten Hag did the groundwork with Kim Min-jae as well. But United obviously only went for Amrabat last day of the season because there was so much pressure on them to do that. They weren't going to do that. But United did this with Kim Min-jae. They said, look, we're not going to get you Kim Min-jae unless Maguire's sold. We don't have the money for it. We don't care. There's a 40 million release clause. And Man United had to go to Napoli. Sorry, we can't guarantee we're going to pay the money. It depends on if Maguire's sold or not. So Ten Hag couldn't get Kim Min-jae, who's gone to Bayern. And then Harry Kane was his other top target. And they're basically saying they didn't even try. It was said that Joel Glazer and Richard Arnold decided going for Harry Kane was not a reasonable use of resources factoring his age. And I think 1 year left on his contract, 100 million price tag, yes, it wouldn't be the smartest move. But if that's what the manager wants, you do it. And I actually think, you know, regardless of whether it's the smartest move or not, it's the fact that Joel Glazer has a say in this. Joel Glazer should not be having a say in this. And we know the reason they didn't go to Harry Kane is because of the price. Even if Harry Kane was 5 years younger, if he was over 100 million, Man United weren't going to do this. Gary Neville said this. And the United Muppeteers make some really good points that I want to get into and share. And for me, the principle of this decision is outrageous. Whether you agree that this was the right decision or not, it's the fact that Joel Glazer decided. And the United Muppeteers summed this up absolutely spot on. They said, Joel Glazer decided. That's all you need to know. What on earth is he deciding anything in for recruitment? This is exactly what I am talking about. Whatever suggestions come from scouts, analysts, Ten Hag or anyone else, it always filters through Joel Glazer and his CEO, neither of which are any more qualified than you or I to make football recruitment decisions, which is spot on. The reason we're so far behind is we have recruits, we have analysts that do good jobs. They find Moises Caicedo, they find Enzo Fernandez, they find Julian Alvarez for these cut deals. And then they take it to those higher up and they say no. But why are those higher up always making the decision saying no, 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 when they know nothing about football? You know, it's not, the problem with United isn't actually the analysts, the scouts, the recruitment stuff, because we do find the players. We found Haaland when he was 6 million, Caicedo when he was 3 million. We can't get it approved by those higher up, because those who make the final decision are those at the top, and those who make the final decision think about it from a financial perspective and not a footballing perspective. They don't know anything about football, and they continue to this saying, look, regardless of if this was the right call or not, and they actually agree that it was the right call not to go for Kane, and I do really like Rasmus Højlund. This has been going on for years, and for every right call, there's a dozen of wrong ones that you'll never hear about. And that's true. You know, even if we agree that maybe this was the right call, Kane was a little bit old. You know, the amount of wrong calls we've made because of Joel Glazer, the amount of players that we've almost got, but Joel Glazer's turned down. Joel Glazer's turned down so many players in the last 5 years. And the Muppeteers, who obviously got a source inside United, said this, which was interesting. I know for a fact it was suggested by Chief Scout to put the Sancho money United have been willing to offer the structured deal worth over 110 million for Sancho that summer down on Harry Kane, and that was ignored back then. and that would have been the right time for his age, which is true. We could have got Harry Kane the season before we signed Sancho, when we first did for Sancho and we didn't get him. They suggested that we should put the Sancho money on Harry Kane and get a striker instead, and we didn't. I think we ended up getting, did we end up getting Cavani instead? I'm pretty sure we ended up getting Cavani instead, you know, but imagine getting like a 30-year-old plus Cavani and near the end of his career on high wages with injuries, when those at United actually suggested that we should go and put that Sancho on Harry Kane. And I think we'd be in a much better position if that's the case. And I think, you know, the Muppeteers are right. The problem at United isn't really the recruitment and the analysts. It's the fact that when we find the right players, those at the top say no. And then sometimes those at the top approve, you know, try and get us to buy other players. Some of our signings that we've made aren't signings that we've made through Erik ten Hag wants, or this manager wants, or that manager wants. It's the Glazers are like, oh, Ronaldo's available, let's get Ronaldo, he sells shirts. And that's a big problem at United. So I now want to get into the squad facing Bayern Munich. That has been released. We know that Varane and Mount were back in training today, but they are not in the squad. Harry Maguire was spotted in training today, but is not in the squad. Something tells me there could be more to it. He was training completely fine, photos of him in training completely fine, and now all of a sudden Maguire's got some mysterious injury and is not in the squad, which means essentially we've literally got 4 fit defenders in Lindelof, Martinez, Reguilon and Dalot. That has to be the back 4, and Evans. And Evans shouldn't be anywhere near Man United. Evans should be playing in the Championship. So we are an injury away from Johnny Evans playing in defence. We are 2 injuries away from Bruno Fernandes playing in defence. Bruno Fernandes played right centre-back versus Brighton those final 20 minutes. It says it all. I mean, the back 4, we know what it's going to be. It's going to be Onana, Victor Lindelof, Martinez, Reguilon, Diego Dalot. The midfield, I assume he's going to go. I hope he doesn't do the diamond. I might do more of a match preview to this tomorrow, but against Bayern Munich, you know, the diamond isn't going to work. Bayern Munich play a high line. If we play Ollie ball, 4-2-3-1, sit back defensively, what we did for a little bit of last season, and hit them on the break, that's the best way that we can beat Bayern Munich. So I'd hope we see something like Casemiro, McTominay, Bruno midfield 3, because I don't think Eriksen will have the energy to do that. And then I hope we see a front 3 of Pellistri on the right, Højlund up top, and Rashford on the left, or Garnacho on the right, Rashford on the left, and Højlund up top. And that's what I hope we see, a 4-2-3-1, bit of Ollie ball, bit of football that we played about a year ago. You know, the first 2 games of the season under Ten Hag, we got battered. Then Ten Hag took us to this 4-2-3-1. And then we had that good spell under Ten Hag around the time of the World Cup. I think we need to go back to basics. We need to go back to what's working, because we've got a very, very slim squad, and we need to play Facundo Pellistri on the right. If not, Garnacho can play on the right. Maybe we'll play Rashford on the right to say, look, you've got to be less selfish now. We'll have to see. But that is the score for Bayern Munich, and it's particularly thin. Now, before I end the video, I want to get into a few things that Gary Neville has said, because I think for the most part, Gary Neville is pretty accurate in what he said. And this is about Ten Hag being hung out to dry by the Glazers. We know that Ten Hag is frustrated with the Glazers. We know from reports inside the clubs, leaks inside the club, that Ten Hag does feel like he was hung out to dry this summer. And you get naive people saying, Alice, Ten Hag's had £400 million to spend, and he's wasted it, he's wasted it, he's wasted it. And it's like, no, Ten Hag got Onana, who was just the complete opposite profile to De Gea, because we needed Onana. And then he's got 3 outfield signings in Højlund, Mount and Amrabat, who've not actually touched the pitch yet. Mount and Højlund have played 1 game. Amrabat's not touched the pitch yet. People are saying Ten Hag's got 400 million, he's wasted it. Well, 3 of his 4 signings haven't really touched the pitch yet. And Ten Hag, I think, has been hung out to dry. We spoke about what happened with Kim Min-jae. We've heard about what happened with Kane. If we had Kane, if we had Kim Min-jae, and if we signed Amrabat a lot earlier, I guarantee you would be in a much better position. In fact, we're now going to the Allianz Arena to play against Kim Min-jae and Kane. Kim Min-jae and Kane will be coming to Old Trafford this season, but not for Manchester United, which is frustrating. And I think, you know, I know Man United didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot more money than we say we have. But I think Gary Neville is pretty spot on what he says. He said, I never thought for 1 second that Man United would challenge City and Arsenal from the players they brought in. They would have needed a Harry Kane type signing or a Declan Rice type signing as an example. They didn't have the money to do those type of signings. And I think Gary Neville is spot on. And I think while I do like the signings we made, I do like Amrabat, I do like Højlund, I do like Onana, they're all good signings. To be at that level with Man City, you needed Kane and Højlund. Man City have Haaland and Alvarez. Højlund is our Alvarez, a great young striker, but you can't rely on him week in, week out. We needed Kane as well. So be at that level with Man City and Arsenal, we needed that Kim Min-jae type signing, because if you look at Arsenal's bench at the moment, and I hate saying this, but Arsenal's bench is pretty good in terms of depth. They've got people like Ben White on the bench. They'll have people like Timber on the bench when he's fit. They've got people like multiple midfielders. I mean, Havertz on the bench, who was a bit pony, but it's a £65 million signing on the bench. Thomas Partey on the bench. You know, they've got Smith Rowe on the bench, Jesus on the bench, Trossard on the bench. You know, for me as well, we need to be making those type of signings, but actually, okay, it would be Varane on the bench rather than Lindelof on the bench, because there's a big drop off from Varane to Lindelof. We've currently got Johnny Evans on the bench. And I think for me, you know, I do like the signings we made, but for me, if we'd have signed that top DM early in the summer to help out Casemiro, and if we'd have signed a Harry Kane earlier in the summer, we'd be in a much better position. And I do think that Ten Hag has been hung out to dry. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, but he's had this money spent on him and this money spent on him. But at the end of the day, he didn't get his A first choice options. He got his, you know, third choice attacker. You know, he got second choice midfielder. You know, you've got to look at all of those things as well. Now, what Gary Neville also said is Ten Hag will continue to keep doing what he's doing, which is following his beliefs, his values, and his principles. The only thing I would say is how popular is Sancho in the dressing room? How popular is Maguire in the dressing room? Gary Neville says this discomfort and uncertainty is being created on the inside. You have got a player at the moment who's probably changing in the first team dressing room, but it's obviously over with the academy. You've got Harry Maguire, who was captain of these players 12 months ago, by the way, who is now almost somewhat alienated from the squad. He's now the fifth choice centre half. He's saying that Gary Neville's saying that Ten Hag's got to deal with some situations like Sancho and Maguire in the dressing room. Are they causing damage? He's suggesting. He's saying he's got to deal with those kind of things in the dressing room. Gary Neville also speaks about Ten Hag having to deal with all the injuries. You know, we've got multiple injuries. We've had 14 different injuries so far. We've got 12 players absent from the Bayern Munich game as well. So not only has Ten Hag got to deal with all this stuff off the pitch, is Maguire happy? He's no longer captain. Is Sancho happy? We've got 12 injuries. He's got to deal with stuff on the pitch, and he's not getting the full backing from the managers, not from the board. Sorry, I keep stumbling what I'm going to say. He's not getting the full backing from the board and the owners at United. And I think, you know, everyone's saying, oh, time to sack manager, time to get rid of Ten Hag. We sack managers every 18 months at United. We sack managers every 18 months at United, and nothing changes. When you sack a manager, it sometimes gets better for a year, but the cycle never stops at Manchester United. It's sack a manager, buy a new manager, spend a couple $100 million on the new manager. They get top four. The next season, you get the manager, their C options. You miss out on key targets. You don't get all the players they need in. All of a sudden, something's going wrong. You put media leaks out that the manager's losing the dressing room. Media leaks out to turn the fans on the manager. Fans turn on the manager. Manager's sacked. New managers appointed. I feel sorry for Ten Hag because he's got a really hard job. He's not getting the backing above. He's not getting support, really. He's got injuries. He's got squad problems to deal with. And I feel like people aren't being patient with him. People are hounding Ten Hag out after 5 games where we've not got to see his new signing settle in. He wasn't completely backed by the ownership. And again, the point of this video and the point of my last 5 or 6 videos has been, please don't turn on the manager. It doesn't matter if we sack Ten Hag and bring in a new manager. We can criticise Ten Hag, we can criticise his subs, we can criticise his lineup, but do not turn on the manager. That's what the Glazers want you to do. We should stay reunited as a fan base in getting the owners out, because you can change manager after manager after manager, but nothing's going to change when those Glazers are in charge. Right, people, thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully there wasn't too much background noise. There was people making noise in the background in my house. It was really distracting, so I'm sorry that I lost my thought process once or twice. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye.